What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning back into Coffee with Kittl. Today, I have Rich with me from Hustle Ninjas. I absolutely love this channel. I've talked to Rich on our channel before, but it's been a while, so I'm super stoked to get your attention, everybody else's attention, to talk about design, talk about merch design, talk a little bit about Etsy and Amazon, and maybe get into a little bit of print on demand versus fulfillment, because I know there's a lot of rumor slash hype slash weirdness going on with Etsy with all the things. I know they're on the news. They were just on the news on CNBC or whatever. That's crazy. But then you have Amazon still killing it. But then you also have this audience that, they want to try to figure out and doing it for themselves. But across that barrier, we always have design. We got to have a design. And so I think that's what your channel does amazingly. And I think that's what we can get into. But before that, look, for the people that don't know, maybe just tell everybody about your channel and what they can expect if they hop over there.
For sure. So on my channel, you can discover a lot on making sales with Etsy, Amazon, doing print on demand. I have a lot of content on doing it yourself. I've had a small team manage a warehouse. We've done screen printing, direct to garment. We've started clothing brands. We've done a lot of B2B orders. But like you said, I mean, it's a lot of different things, but at the end of it, it pretty much has the foundation of starting with design.
Yeah, you have to have a design, right? I mean, you got to have something that you're going to put on it to then sell. I mean, I guess, there's still those of us that like a nice occasional blank T-shirt from now and then. But yeah, you know what I mean. Okay, well, let's start there then with design. So I want to know. It's been a while since we've done kind of a proper deep debrief in like either trends or like just styles that are either I wouldn't necessarily say like evergreen, but just like they're always kind of doing well. So there's like styles that are always kind of doing well. I would suggest maybe retro as one of those. But then there are these styles that are always kind of trending. So I'm just kind of wondering from your perspective in what you're teaching and what you're trying out, testing out on Etsy, Amazon, what have you kind of seen as the styles or the design trends that have either popped up over 2024 or the ones that are just doing extremely well and just kind of always crushing it?
Yeah, for sure. So anything that's always been crushing it is pretty much just like personalization on top of what's kind of trending. So most of the trends I've seen lately is kind of that vintage look. Well, there's kind of two ones. Like I don't know how far back. I'm not good with like dates and stuff. So like you have the one that's kind of like the more groovy style fonts.
Right, like 60s, 70s
Yeah,
style.
yeah. And then you have what I've seen that's really been popular, that's been working for us is kind of that vintage style, more that bootleg T-shirt. So I would say that's like
Oh,
90s.
so 90s, like
Yeah,
90s, early 2000s.
yeah.
Okay.
So depending what age group we're talking to, I guess both could be vintage. But like that
Oh, yeah.
bootleg, that bootleg style has been pretty popular too. But both of them has been kind of trending. But what makes things last a lot longer is just, especially for if you're a seller like myself, just adding personalization on top of it. It's a little bit more tedious to manage depending
Mhm.
on where you are with your business. But that's kind of like the best way to be able to stand out compared to like the bigger corporations if you just like truly want to get some sales.
Yeah, and I mean, Etsy's always been that kind of handcrafted or personalized handcrafted gift type, site that they always have had in the back of their minds. Clearly, you can do that with print on demand. So it sounds like you're saying there are these trends that are designed, but then there's like a consistent trend. Maybe I wouldn't even call it a trend, but there's this consistent um, practice of personalization or customization. So that's interesting. I guess what kind of, let's just use the bootleg for example. I guess I can think of a couple of examples of this. I just feel like it would get a little, it would get a little sticky because I know my brother did one. I had him do a bootleg video, a bootleg T-shirt video for our cats, for my cat.
Yeah.
So I sent him some pictures of that, and so he did one, and it was a good idea to. I mean, the tutorial was like, here's how you can make your own bootleg T-shirt, right? Which is, and then it's prefaced with like, by the way, if you're an Etsy seller, this is great. So I guess that's kind of one thought in my head is like, if you're offering personalization for a trend or a style like bootleg, like what is it that you're like, how are you setting that up to offer it? Cause like personally, I don't want somebody like sending me their picture of their cat for me to remove the background and like do all this stuff. So is it like just naming conventions, or like how are you setting up the personalization for a trend like that?
Yeah, so it would be names and it would be the actual person and then the actual colorway itself. So it sounds like what you're talking about is like you don't want to sit there and personalize all of it. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying like, yeah, I'm feeling like the easiest way to personalize something would be like text, right? And color, right? And like what color lightning or something do you want? Because for whatever reason, they always got lightning in the background.
Yeah.
But like, I guess maybe that's to the point of your saying it being tedious. Like, personally, I don't want someone to send. Maybe if it's a very clear portrait of a person on like a
Mhm.
white background, you can easily remove. But like once you get into like personalized animal whatever, it's one thing if someone's going to send you a high resolution photo of their cat and you just pod that on a blanket because it's just square, it's rectangle, it's perfect. But it's
Right.
like, you if somebody's going to give you an image of their cat in like a dark room on a couch and you got to like cut it out and like put it in the bootleg, I don't know, that sounds like, I don't know if you're setting up requirements or like how you would set up or handle the personalization
Okay,
side,
got
you know
it.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you do got to set up like some requirements. Like it has
Okay.
to be
Okay.
certain resolution, no more than 5 photos, and so on. And then when it comes to actually managing the order, there's really two ways to do it. Most people probably starting off with themselves. So you can go to Kittl, import them all, and then click remove background on all of them.
That's right.
Yeah, but really, you already want to have the template to begin with. Like you already
Okay.
want the text there, the lighting there, and then you don't really have to have the 5 photos there or 3 photos, how many ever photos you're using. But if you already have that part set up, then it's a lot easier for you to just import the photos, remove the backgrounds, change the text. And
Yeah.
then if you want to go to like a different higher level, what you can do is just like screen record that, hire a team member, um, get a team member account, and then show them how to do it. And then when it comes to getting the order in, then like you pretty much set up a Google sheet so that they know how to manage it all.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you're basically just trying to do as much drag and drop as possible into the like the preset template.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if like how to AI the whole process, you know, I mean, but like that's the best way we've been able to do it. I mean, outside of like just text based stuff, there's other softwares like Hello Custom like that can help you with just
Hmm.
like more the text stuff. But like as far as like photos, that's just pretty much that's why you're able to really like leverage being able to get more sales because that is what sets you apart from like the big box like retail stores and stuff like that because they're not going
Mm.
to do stuff like that.
Okay. So I wanted to ask a question about personalization then, like about customization. I'm assuming in that order of like standing out, not just kind of fading into the background or trying to compete with everybody else. Like when you started doing that, are you able to say like you had maybe not instantaneous results, but like over time, you definitely saw like a revenue increase, like in general, from offering personalization, customization? Because I still think for a lot of people, it's a fear of a lot of work for
Mhm.
like maybe some increase, right? Versus like um, a passive design trend or something that you make and you set up and you do it. So does that
Gotcha.
make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, still, that's kind of a thing though. It's like for someone who's not seeing sales now without the personalization, they add on personalization, they're probably still not going to see sales because it's a series of things that actually get the actual conversion outside of the
Mm.
product research, outside of the design itself, and then just adding personalization. Like a lot of people, I go to their Etsy page or like even like if it's their own Shopify store or something,
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
don't have like guarantees, they don't have like the return policies, they don't have additional like specs and sizings, they don't even have like multiple mock-ups to see how maybe it would even look on a different color. It's not very well organized so that the listing itself can still convince the customer to check out because like the design and the mock-up the first one is like just kind of the initial click, and then once they're on your actual listing, you still got to have other compelling things to be able to have them check out. So if you don't even have those things, then there's really no point adding personalization because you still
Hmm.
don't have a reason for them to convert.
Yeah, and that translates again across wherever you're selling, right? Like it could be Etsy, it could be Shopify, it could be wherever. You still got to have those multiple thumbnails to. I mean, yeah, obviously we want to convince someone, but just like actually show them what they're buying, right? Is that the idea?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I mean, if you feel like you've gotten some sales and you pretty much have all of that down, then yeah, adding personalization, especially like on Etsy, then it'll be a huge plus for you.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, again, talking from some of the Etsy sellers that we have, as Kittl collaborators, they're doing personalization, or at least they were doing personalization for so long to the point where it almost got just incapacitating. Like so much personalization that it's like I was doing it myself, then I hired one person, then I hired a team, and then it was still too much. And so now I just teach how to do it. So now it's like they just leveled up to the next level, which is like, I'm just going to teach you how to do it. And then you can figure it out. You know what I
Yeah, you
mean?
definitely gotta have a team after a while.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that it does have the ability to scale, especially if you get into a niche. So in that regard, like talking about, I mean, obviously you can offer personalization on anything, and so we have this kind of bootleg style. We could also maybe designate that as, or we could summarize that or categorize that as a type of niche, right? 90s bootleg kind of rap, trap music, that kind of stuff. Are there, I have one kind of in my mind that I want to bring up, but like, do you have any other um niches that have come to mind that you've seen specifically over 2024, or maybe that can help us as we go past this year into 2025? Again, I know I like to say, we all like to use this word niche, and I think like there's a difference between shops that are just trying to be generalized, so they have a lot of stuff, a lot of different, like you can either have a lot of products in one niche, or you can have like one product you do really well with like tons of niches. That's kind of how it's been described to me. So I always want to ask that, knowing that, like, well, I mean, for you and your style, maybe you're doing something that's specific, so you're not going to test 800 niches, right? Because it's not in your best interest. But if there has been some that have come up to you or you've seen, what are they for 2024?
Yeah, I don't know niches trend wise. I mean, like we've always kind of relied on the same ones. Like
Mm,
just pretty evergreen. Like we'll rely on teachers, like a lot of things in the educational space.
okay.
Uh, Mostly like you go into occupations, like we'll make products for like attorneys and stuff like that. So, I mean that's kind of an easier way to go about it instead of like typing niches on Google. Like not too many things like pop up that's like okay, that sounds like it's something. More so would like look for hobbies or occupations, which
Mm.
I don't know what you describe a niche anyway. So like you type in occupations or you type in hobbies, then you get a better list and a better idea of like what you should create.
And then how do you go about attributing those to a specific style, like the ones that you kind of just talked about? Or do you just stick within like what you're doing and you're like, oh, okay, I think like a lawyer 90s bootleg shirt would be fire. I
Yeah.
probably
So,
would. I don't.
no, so now you're kind of catching the drift because that's where like a lot of people kind of don't know where to like kind of test things, but that's where you can test things and kind of set yourself apart. So you can do like the vintage 90s stuff, and then like you'll see now you're now at the point where like everyone's kind of offering it, and then now it's kind of hard to compete. But then like you can do like, all right, let me try a vintage 90s teacher shirt, and then like you're kind of niching on top of an actual trend, and then you might be able to get more clicks that way. And then sometimes even through that exact listing, they might just still be ordering one that's not even a teacher one. So that is like pretty much how you leverage something like that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I think that was when I was talking with Odetta on our channel. She's an entrepreneur, um, and obviously doing like a lot of different things. But that was one thing she was talking about was how can you how can you take what's already known and just make it like pretty crazy? Like I've definitely never seen a bootleg a lawyer shirt. That's like a good idea to where it's like, well, maybe it fails. I have no idea. But like, if it does, like somebody sees that and they're like, that's absolutely hilarious. I'm definitely going to get that for my ex,
Yeah.
my friend, whoever is a lawyer. You know what I mean? So it's like finding it's almost like just like the word whimsical comes to mind. It's like a really cool design style with the most like far fetched topic that you can think of. You know?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that because I just saw a lawyer on TikTok last night. He was giving like some of his clients like a vintage '90s bootleg T-shirt himself.
Dang,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, he's like a very viral. I just saw him
Uh,
for the first time yesterday. Like attorney that's on TikTok though. And, like he's getting people off of like ridiculous cases, and then he's like, "Man, he even got your shirt on." So it's funny that you even mentioned that.
that is crazy. Like that's yeah, that's not even something that I would think of. So that I mean, maybe that's an indicator of why it works. One that I thought personally, one that I thought was going to be big for 2024. I think it is. Again, this is like kind of a different category. Um, maybe a little bit more towards our female audience is like bohemian or like that boho, right? That mystical style, which I think is adjacent to, you know, that kind of Western style, which seems to be coming back, you know, that kind of retro Western wear with like the trucker hats and the big like horse and a cowboy on the back of the t-shirt. But then you have this boho with the kind of stars and the you know, the really kind of rainbow wavy lines around it.
Yeah.
It's all very organic. Like, have you experimented with any of that, or like, is it relevant enough to you, or do you see it at all anywhere?
Um, it's that I've definitely seen like the Western stuff. That one's definitely been going off. I don't know, like as far as like bohemian type designs. It's just I don't know. Like we're so simple. If I showed you, all right, it's like you can be like, well, I don't know. So I can't really say. I mean, unless like that design has been mixed in with like a whole bunch of floral stuff. Like I've seen like lots of
Hmm.
floral type designs has been really popular this year. Um, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, hey, it makes sense. I mean, I have to be searching for something very specific when I see it. And so like that's kind of why when I did our kind of big design trends video like 6 or 7 months ago, I had it in there as a bonus because I was like I don't have any data to support this, but I just feel like it might be big. And I don't know, I feel like that kind of boho tarot card
oh yeah,
Western.
that kind of thing. Yeah, yeah. The tarot card thing has been like
Okay, yeah, that's
yeah,
it's
I've
kind
seen
of
that style for sure. Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of in line, in at least in my mind, it's somewhere definitely adjacent to the mystical boho style.
yeah. It's kind of hard for me to visualize like boho style. Maybe it's because I don't know what
Oh,
it is.
okay, yeah,
That's
okay.
probably the
Boho, I
problem.
guess, more of a category. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely seen like the tarot like card reading style.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't see a lot of that come up for me in my searches because I guess I'm just not searching anything that's specific to that. But I have wanted to. I don't know. I've wanted to try it. I know Juna did a great uh, tutorial on his channel on how to do like a tarot card thing, and now we have templates for it in Kittl, so it could be a good idea to see just to see how it goes. Sometimes a good indicator of what's going to work is if you like search something and there's a bunch of videos on it, and you're like, oh, okay, let me go search for this in Etsy or Amazon or whatever, and then there's listings that are selling. Um, okay, so let me transition from the kind of design niche searching category and let's go into fulfillment because I know there's always hype and angst around print on demand, and there's always hype and angst around self fulfillment or DIY. And I mean, there's DIY as far as like just using an iron. You can have a Cricut heat press, or you can like buy a heat press, which I know you have you have a pretty extensive video. It's kind of back in the archives, but you have a pretty extensive video on I think like 7 or 8 presses you had in that shop or something like that. So I know you know your way around self fulfillment, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So can you like lay out? I've been interested in both. I do both, but I can you lay out some pros and cons for either? Like maybe we can just start with Maybe we can start with print on demand because that's the one everybody knows super well, and then like talk about some pros and cons for drop shipping fulfillment there, and then talk about the kind of DIY, do it yourself, heat press and or Cricut or whatever, like those two methods. Does that make sense? What I'm asking?
Yeah, for sure. Uh, First, I guess I just want to say it's kind of hard to convince someone who's like interested in self fulfillment to like see your reasoning on why going this route and vice versa. So,
Well,
it's like,
yeah. I feel like some people are gonna be like they could. There's several categories of people, but there's also the category of people who are like, I don't know which one should I do. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like, and obviously at the end of the day, it's the one that you're gonna do, and the one that works for you. Like but it's like it's still good to do your research and have the pros and cons for like here's why I like and dislike print on demand. Here's why I like and dislike the ability to do it myself. We'll just call it do it yourself, I guess.
yeah, for sure. All right, so pros and cons of print on demand. So we're majority print on demand now, but most of our sales come from like Etsy and Amazon. Uh, Print on demand works out a lot better if it's kind of not clothing brand related. A lot of people in the clothing brand space is like kind of more like passionate kind of projects and like they want to have quality control. There's lots of limitations with print on demand when it comes to print placements, specialty
Mm,
inks, um, garment selections, things of that
yeah.
nature. But when it comes to print on demand, they pretty much have everything laid out for you. If you want to sell a birthday T-shirt, anniversary shirt, Mother's Day shirts. Um, so and it's a lot easier to work with than you kind of doing it yourself. Like we've done it in house, um, and like during Q4, like we're in the warehouse sweating and wow, like like we're just like it just becomes endless, man. It's just like orders
Well,
after.
so let me ask you a question about that. So when you say that you were doing it, were you mean you were trying to do like a multiplicity of like styles and niches? So you were trying to fulfill what you were trying to experiment with, or were you only doing one one shirt design? You know what I mean? I'm assuming you mean like you were trying to just fulfill
No,
multiple
just like
kinds.
yeah, just fulfilling all of our orders.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, that sounds
Yeah.
absolutely terrible.
Yeah, so I mean, we've done it multiple times. It would be like 4,000 orders a month. So like,
Oh my gosh, what?
yeah, I mean, there's a process to it. It's not that bad, but it's just like it depends what kind of business owner you want to be. Man, I swear I put my phone on airplane. um, um, so there's a process to it. So it's not as bad as you said. But I mean, like the pros and cons, like you have overhead, you have employees now, and then like you're fighting for more of a profit margin. But then you have to have the space to be able to do this. You have to
Mm,
have better equipment to be able to do this. Um, and then if you don't have your systems down packed, then it's like every once in a while you gotta do something. So it's just it almost becomes you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? For some people, it's probably worth it, that additional profit margin. So,
yeah.
and then at a higher level too. So I'm not like more of an analytical person, but there's people on my channel you'll be able to watch like they'll do like $2-3 million a year, and they've actually sat there and ran through the numbers with someone else who's done the same amount with print on demand, and like they always say margins almost become fairly similar. The only difference is like the person doing print on demand is like sitting at a beach or something like during Christmas. So, you really just got to ask yourself, is it worth it? A lot of times, people who are kind of against it have real quality control
Mm,
um, kind of habit in them. Like it's hard for them to trust someone else to ship an order that they've never seen or even printed themselves or even touched. So that's one big thing that I've noticed
mhm,
for people who's kind of anti print on demand. But print on demand is pretty great to me when it comes to like selling like on Etsy and Amazon. And then a lot of times too, people who are anti print on demand let like the negative comments speak too loudly. One
hmm.
thing I always like to compare it to is like most people when they go eat at a restaurant or something, as soon as they get like a bad you know bad service or something, they're so like they're ready to leave a review on Yelp or like on Google or something, and then all of a sudden it has a whole bunch of different bad reviews. But how many times have you went to like a restaurant and had a good experience and you're like, let me go leave a 5-star review because it was so good, or even you had a decent experience, like let me go leave a 3-star review. It's only like to the point where like, oh my gosh, someone had like a bad, you know, incident with him, and then they go leave a bad review. So
Hmm.
like you'll see more bad reviews than you see good, and then like a lot of people are hanging on to those bad reviews so hard that like it scares them to even like start, you know. So
Yeah.
that's like a big thing I've noticed as well. So there's lots of pros and cons. It also depends on your business model. Most brands that I know of, like they don't want to do print on demand either because it's just like they want to be able to know the quality of the product, what kind of product it is, and they a lot of times they want to be able to get it for as cheap as possible. So that does have to, you know, you have to avoid going the print on demand route. But
Right.
if you're on the business model of just selling those type of t-shirts, then you also have to think these print on manufacturers have way better printers and whatnot that you're going to be able to afford, especially like when you're starting off.
Yeah, I would say that I would say it's definitely mainly a quality a quality issue, which I mean I definitely resonate. I mean even I test ordered some shirts that I want to experiment with just heat pressing myself, just more because I think it's cool. But I just got them from one of the drop shippers, and I mean after one wash, most of the back is gone, and so it's like again, it could be the type of garment. DTG is great for one thing, and it's great for like if you can really make sure that you hang dry it uh,
Yeah,
after you wash it, and it'll hold up for a very long time if you can remember to do that. Or if, for example, if I throw it in there and then I set it on wash, but then my wife gets home and puts everything in the dryer, and I forgot to tell her to take out this one shirt, it's like, oh shoot, well now
yeah,
it's kind of messed up. So it also depends on, you kind of have to be. There is a little bit of a game in being smart with like, yes, with DTG you can basically go crazy with color because it's essentially printing onto the shirt whatever color. But then like, how much detail do you want to preserve? Like, is it going to be so intense that like there's just so many colors just stacking on top of each other that they're going to kind of chip when it goes away? So I mean, my dream slash hope for print on demand is that we'll see a lot more different offerings happen. Like I would love to see the boundary box go a lot bigger so that you can actually get that 16 by 20 on
yeah,
the back of the shirt. I would love to see DTF as an option as opposed to DTG. I mean, print on demand embroidery, by the way, is phenomenal. I mean, I've rarely had an issue with like, there was one time I ordered something from Printful. It was a sweater. It was a sample order I did to make sure everything was good, and it was like the stitching was beautiful, but it was just off center, like
yeah,
just completely, like nowhere close. And I put rulers down, and I sent a picture to like the chat, and whoever I was talking to was like, "Oh my god, that's really wrong. We'll send you another one." Um,
yeah,
and so I was like, "That's fine. I just want to make sure that like when people buy this via my print on demand listing, they don't get one that's off center." But the quality, the stitching was amazing. Hats I've got hats back here from Printful that are all embroidered. They're fantastic. I mean, I know that like they all kind of egg each other on, which is what my dream is. Like, I hope that, Awkward Styles now offering the heat press style DTF at eggs Printful on to be able to do DTF because it just holds up in the wash longer. I mean, even, by doing it and with, sometimes even with your puff stuff, that probably holds up in the wash, like, because the vinyl that you're heat pressing yourself is different than like the chippy DTG ink. Does that make sense?
yeah. I mean, when it comes to DTG too, like man, this is a tough one because I wouldn't say it's tough because it kind of goes back to like the whole quality thing. Like we've
That's
had
true.
DTG printers on my screen printer, my personal like DTG printer here local to me. Like I've had stuff from him washes perfectly fine, and then
Hmm.
you got to think like whenever um you kind of have your own brand and you're printing your own things and you have your own people working on it, they care more about it because it's directly you and your
Mm.
company compared to you getting something print on demand is someone coming in to work, clocking in. Let me, get this done,
Knock
get it.
these out.
It's kind of the same thing how you say about embroidery. Like it was off center, but that's a human issue because whenever they put the
When they put it on there, they put it on there wrong. Yeah.
yeah, but you said the embroidery is perfectly fine because they use really expensive equipment. So
That's true. That's true. Yes.
yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of there, but yeah, like DTF is kind of hard to mess up because if you have like a proper heat press, then it's gonna last for like practically forever. Same with like vinyl too. So I was curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it would be. I'm sure it's more expensive, but that would be that would be insane. Like, I think we would really see a massive increase in quality across the board. I mean, because I mean, with Prime Demand, you can do all these really really nice. Like, you can do Champion apparel, you can do LA apparel. I got one that was AS Colors now. I got that one in the mail. And there's all these really premium brands that you can do with Prime Demand, which is great. But it's just like, if you want to make sure that you know that quality of the design holds up, it would be cool to eventually see more printing methods, like especially for like hats. Like, they're, not for some reason, like most of them all do embroidery for hats, but I would love if there's just a DTF option for hats, and then you can do any color and any cool design and layer colors on top of each other, because there's only so much that the embroiderer can do, when it comes to hats.
Yeah, but see, this is where it gets tricky too, because I don't like DTF prints for a clothing brand. I like kind of like how the direct to garment like looks like a print if you're doing a full color print, and
Hmm.
then DTF though is fine to me, like for like Etsy orders and stuff.
Yeah, I would say I think the best for like a clothing brand would probably be like double screen printing, where it's like this shirt is screen printed and it's like a little bit raised, like you can tell, because it's been done like two or three times. So I mean, I can feel it when I do the DTG as well. I just always personally, I have that fear that it's going to come off in the wash.
Oh no, screen printing, yeah, it just depends on who's doing it too. I mean, screen
Mm,
printing is great. I mean, screen printing is pretty much number one. It's just like being able to meet those MOQs, which is like that's a whole nother conversation compared to print on demand. Like print on demand, you don't have any type of minimums. But like if you want to go the route of like doing it yourself and you want it as cheap as possible but still high quality, you're gonna have to order
mm,
certain volumes now.
that's right. That's true. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's all these. I mean, a lot of these things typically for this for someone that's starting out, uh, do not warrant not starting Proud of Man, because I don't think it hurts you. You know what I mean? Even John said this. John Santos even said the same thing. There's these kind of four core methods, right? The two that he likes the most. Before you get to a certain level, before when you get to a certain level and you have, I won't call it expendable money. I'll just call it money that you put back in your business. Do whatever you want. But the two that he likes the best, I think, are like Prime Demand, and then the pre-order method is really strong. So if you really care excessively about quality, you figure out how to do a pre-order and get as many orders in. So basically, you have the money then to front doing whatever you're going to do. But that really only works for like a proper clothing brand, if that's what you're starting. Like, you're not going to take pre-orders through Etsy. You're going to have to set up a proper Shopify website or whatever, market yourself, get your pre-orders in, then you can do your whole quality check. I mean, I think it's a great method. It's just more marketing work. You know what I mean? Which could be another good question to you is like, you said you were fulfilling everything yourself at one point. You tried it before a couple times, and then you switched to Prime Demand. Like, did anything change with marketing that, like getting the sales to be the same? Like, are there certain marketing tactics that you use that help, get the traffic, get the views? Like, what kind of like marketing technique or advice can you give to those that are like in the midst of kind of trying to start something up?
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to marketing, though, we So most of my sales come from Etsy and Amazon. It doesn't come from the clone brand. So I don't want people to get confused. So most of ours just come from the organic search of the
Mm,
platform itself. Just
mhm,
being able to provide the right products, right price, and then the quality of the listings need to be high. That's like what a lot of people miss out on. Just like all those additional features that really helps get a customer feel be able to trust you like as a seller, and be able to convert with you. And then once you're able to do that, it's easier to once you know how to create a proper listing, it's easier for you to scale up and hire someone else to be able to add on more designs, more listings, and so on. So it's easier to scale in volume. But a lot of times people are kind of going too fast in the wrong direction and they really get burnt out. Like most people
mm.
that are starting off, I've noticed they get one sale here, one sale there, and then their listing doesn't even look the greatest, their designs aren't the best just yet, and then they start scaling in volume and they're like, oh man, I have 100, 200 listings, I'm not getting sales. But then they already feel burnt out and they start blaming the platform like it's not their fault,
Mm,
but they're running in the
right.
wrong direction so for so long, then like now they're feeling lost about it.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, it sounds like at that stage of the game, marketing's not even the real concern because you haven't even set up the initial, let's say, first five products correctly to have a quality listing. You know what I mean? Like when you say quality listing, I resonate and understand what you're saying, but can you like maybe dissect that a little bit of like what would warrant like a really proper quality listing so that we can kind of give people like the template to know like, oh, okay, well that's probably why I'm not I'm not getting anything because like my listing has a 2 sentence description and you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, description helps with SEO, but like two things like would be like guarantee and trust. You want a buyer to be able to trust you as much as possible. So sometimes you may have a design, you might have a good price, you might have a good mock-up, and looks good, everything looks good. You have the color they want and everything, but then you just need the extra like second to be like, you know what, if you don't love it in 7 days, we'll refund you. And a lot of
Mm,
people like who are new sellers are afraid to make such a statement because they think they're gonna get hurt.
like massive return.
Yeah, everyone's gonna ask for a guarantee. Like that's just like that's a real like big trust factor. Like I mean, you can go on any big website and just look at it and see what they pretty much have. Like lots of websites,
Okay.
like okay, 14-day return policy. If you don't love it, oh, reach out to us in 7 days. We'll guarantee you a better one. We'll send you a replacement. We'll work with you until you're happy. Lots of new sellers are really afraid to say stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say yeah, even more so on Prone Demand because they're like, I didn't make it. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not taking. I'm not taking control of this thing, man.
yeah, but you had a good point though. I like what you said. It was like most people are marketing, but they're not even marketing like the right things yet. It's almost
Mm,
even if it is like clone brand, like you go out there, put out a whole bunch of content, you go do reels, you get TikToks, you got good marketing, yeah. But like then once they get to your website, and then like it's not friendly to them, then
mm.
you just market them to the wrong thing.
Yeah. So were the two, you said two things. Let me make sure I got it right, or I don't know if you said the second one. You said the buyer guarantee. What was the other thing you said?
Oh, I just said trust.
Oh, trust. What exactly does that mean? Just trust throughout, like the quality of the images, the quality of like the description. How would you go through building trust in a listing? Because I mean, this is probably the quote secret sauce that nobody knows how to do. Uh, that's why they're replicating 100 listings that all kind of suck.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much like the guarantee. Being able to include social proof. Social proof's a good one that helps people convert. So like um after a while you start getting reviews, and then sometimes you'll get reviews of photos of the actual customer with the
Hmm.
actual shirt on. Sometimes we'll drag that back into the actual listing, and then we'll put the review in the
Oh
photos.
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so like you may have mock-ups, but then you have a real photo. But although it's not a professional photo, it's obvious this is a review because we also put their text along with the photo. So that's just like an extra layer of trust. Like, oh, this buyer actually ships out products. Yeah, I mean not this buyer, the seller.
Yeah,
This seller actually ships out products. This seller actually gives out real physical products. So I
yeah.
mean that's just like an extra layer of trust. It's a whole bunch of really like a little bit of 1% things that just pretty much totals up to like gets you the actual conversion
Yeah,
results.
that's a really good important point. This seller actually looks like they ship out products. That's really important because I feel like where most will fall short is being able to make their print on demand shop look like a real shop. So maybe
Yeah.
that's like the last thing we can kind of, if this is like maybe the last thing we can kind of hone in on is how do you manage that? I've talked to Scott over at Brand Creators on YouTube, excellent channel, and he runs a full time Etsy shop, and we've talked a lot about this because he believes a lot in building. Specifically for Etsy, for anywhere though, you need to build the brand of what you're selling. Even if you're selling a bunch of print on demand stuff, that's fine, but you still have to look presentable, reputable. Like you said, like don't just replicate a ton of listings and then you're marketing it and you're marketing it in the wrong place. Like you need to look like a real functioning shop. And I mean, to an extent you are. You're making the designs, you're uploading them. But it's like then we still have some hurdles here. Okay. So one method I'm assuming is you can order proofs. Okay, you can take pictures of the proofs. So that's one that I know Scott recommends a lot. Is like if you're going to do all these Etsy listings, don't use the Printify or the Printful preset mockups, basically.
Yeah.
So how do you manage building a reputable print on demand shop without having the complete hands-on control of the quality? Like maybe you could walk us through how you do that.
So I mean that's kind of in a sense kind of relates back to like what you're saying in the beginning, like how Etsy was on the news and all this. They just came out with like a big news article yesterday with the
Mm-hmm.
CEO and stuff about like keeping Etsy human. So that's one thing. I wouldn't be able to do it just because like arbitrage reasons, but like for most sellers, like really incorporate like videos of yourself, photos of yourself, because Etsy's not a handmade marketplace anymore. Like now they're trying to become more of like a human marketplace still, instead of just like very big corporations in here selling and stuff. So like keeping it as human as possible. Like you could do most crafters and whatnot have a good photo shoot of themselves or their craft room or something, posting photos like that along with your listings. Like what a lot of my designers have, it's not necessarily like a standard operating procedure, but more of like a listing operating procedure. We have like a
Okay.
like almost like a checklist of how like it should look like. And then one big thing is like your branding and your color scheme should all pretty much be the same. Although they rarely ever see like your logo. They see like your little logo. The color scheme of that should match like all those like guarantees in the photos, that your reviews, your craft room, the way that you create that photo along with like those additional photos in your listing. So as soon as they get to your listing, it doesn't even feel like another listing of a same print on demand product that they can get somewhere else. It feels like they're shopping with you.
Okay. So what can you explain what craft room means or like what do you
Oh,
is
I was
it?
just saying, like, say, because they have a real big thing of like being human right now. So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
all right, let's post a photo of Drew. Let's post a photo of like the room that he works in, like your office right
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, okay, got it. I thought you meant like there's a mock-up photo of craft room that everybody
now.
is so
I mean,
confused.
essentially, I guess you could just post any craft room, but like, say, if you're doing print on demand, like a photo of Drew drawing the design on the laptop
Yeah.
inside his
Okay.
craft room. I just
Yeah.
say craft room because like that's kind of like a big like Etsy word because it started off with like handmade
Oh,
crafted.
right, right. Not everybody has a design studio. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's really good. I hadn't really thought that's interesting enough as someone that runs a design centric channel for Kittl. I hadn't thought about like keeping all of the listing colors like in a specific color scheme. Although I know that's obviously very a powerful way to keep them looking like they're shopping with one thing. Now, do you try to do that and also the way that you're editing the photos of like the shirt itself, like you try to use like the same filter across all of them, so that it looks like it looks like the style is the same when they click through to your
Style
store.
wise, we don't. I've seen shops that do really well that does have the same style. Like that. That kind of goes back to like, do you have a shop with like multiple niches, or do you have one
Oh,
that's
right, yeah,
one. But I've seen shops that do that. But like if we're putting additional badges like ships quick or ships fast on top of that image, then yeah, that same color scheme and stuff that matches the rest of the
Mm,
images as well.
okay. Yeah, that's really good. I mean, that's great advice. I'm not sure that I've heard that before. Having the little badges. I've certainly not heard dragging a product photo back into the listing with the review over it. That sounds like a great idea. Like social proof in general sounds like a really good idea. Um, yeah, I mean, is there anything else marketing wise that help? Well, I just marketing is the overarching word, but anything else that really helps build your Etsy or your Amazon as like a real human, maybe specifically for Etsy. I think that's probably the easiest one for people to get in on, is like making it look like a lifelike, other than, the kind of listing images and making sure they're all the same color, things like that. Like what else, is there anything else that would help somebody make it look more human?
Like including photos of yourself though, like don't be afraid. Lots of people are afraid of the camera still, even like the
Mm.
day and age that we live in. It's crazy how many people like who's afraid to like I'm a huge introvert. Like if you meet me in person, like I have social anxiety and everything. Like
Oh, wow.
yeah, this camera thing is like it was like new to me, like when I first
Mm.
started. So
Hmm.
I can understand. So, but like, lots of people are still afraid to like even take a picture, post it on, your Etsy shop, kind of afraid to like even recognize the fact like you're a business owner now, putting it on there, taking it serious. So like that would be a big thing. One thing I was just thinking about is like, have you ever seen like a really good like Instagram carousel? Like on
Hmm.
the first picture, like it does not tell you to swipe, but like it has like a little color thing or like maybe like a slight arrow that tells you to go
Yeah,
to the
like a
right.
carrot, like a little triangle carrot thing or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of one thing that you can kind of use to base like your Etsy listing template off of. Because
That's
like the
cool.
carousel has like a full like going on theme with it. Like you like
Yes.
the color matches, the text match, you go right, and you're like, okay, cool. So like you can kind of use that as an idea for like creating your Etsy listing.
Yeah, they're like mini presentations,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Like it's a mini slideshow, basically.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I feel like that's maybe more work than people want to hear, but that's what it takes. That's what it takes,
Exactly.
right?
I think that's why my videos don't do well. I see some people who like gets like hundreds of thousands of views, but then it's like, man, I know it's just not that simple and easy.
No, yeah. Yeah, it's not. So, I mean, I think that's the age-old kind of advice that I hear from everyone is, don't go into either method believing that it's passive, because if you want to see success at it, I mean, you're going to have to put in the time due to make it work, right? There's no, especially now with with AI and how many people are trying to start their own shops. Of course, now with Etsy's like $15 one time new seller thing, I don't know if that was a gatekeeping tactic or what they were thinking with that. But maybe that decreases some people from starting a shop. But like you're gonna have to put in the work, right? The lower the with print on demand specifically, the lower amount of money that you have to front to make it work, I think you really have to make sure you equal that with time, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then I
Yeah.
think one thing I probably want to add on to is like a lot of people are afraid to do it because like what you're saying, there's AI and everyone else is doing it. A lot of people are afraid to do it because everyone else is doing it, but like to me, it's like it's saturated with bad stuff. So it's
That's what I think. That's what I think.
you just
Yeah.
got to be good at it instead. So, you
Yeah,
know,
it's like oversaturated. Okay, oversaturated with what? It's not oversaturated with t-shirt designs. It's oversaturated with bad t-shirt designs.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Well, maybe just like a quick 1-2 minute, if any at all. Like, I want to know what's coming up for you on your channel. I've obviously seen a lot of really great Etsy tips. I've seen some more design tutorials coming out from you as well. I've seen some great Kittl videos, the last two or so Kittl videos. You always do a great job. I noticed today you do a really great job of troubleshooting, better than I do. I just realized that you were doing something and you were like, oh shoot, the text is too big for this, so like let's go over here and like take the transformation off and then turn it back on. I was like, dang, I need to do like a troubleshooting video. I always appreciate how in your video, I know that because I use Kittl every single day, but it's like Dang, that's a really good. So I always appreciate how detailed into Kittl you go. So what's coming up for you on the channel? What can we expect? Is there anything exciting? Is there anything going on uh, with you that people should be directed to? I don't know if you're doing any courses or anything like that, but yeah, just what's going on for you and your channel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I do have Etsy coaching, so I mean, they can apply for that. Like, just going to my Instagram, they'll be able to see. But regardless of that, as far as YouTube, I appreciate you for saying what you said because like I overthink so many videos. Like, okay, am I saying too much? I'm saying too much. but and then what? But now I kind of like I really enjoy doing it. So for like even performance wise, I've even seen that design videos has been doing really well,
Yeah,
and I think it's also because like I just mentioned a whole bunch of the little things now that I always like don't mention, and it's kind of uh practically at this point like human nature to me. Like even like holding a space bar and moving things around. Like
right. Me too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've noticed like people are like, how do I drag
How
the
do you
camera?
do that?
Yeah, so like now I just say is whatever's going on and all those little things that I've realized like helps a lot of people out. So I kind of like being able to put design videos out now and just like mentioning all the small details.
Mm.
I feel like that's been pretty helpful for a lot of people. So I think that's kind of be the next thing, just doing a bunch of design videos, seeing how much that helps people out.
Sweet. Well, I'm excited for that. I hope everybody else is. Well, all of you that are watching and listening, watching and listening, thank you so much. Please go check out the Hustle Ninjas channel. It is linked down in the description, as well as a couple of the videos that I was mentioning. Rich do with Kittl. I think they're great. I think you should definitely check them out. I really enjoyed the racing one with the after hours collaboration. That was really fun to watch. How you dissected these templates. Always fun to watch. So go check that out. That's linked down in the description. By the way, if you didn't know this and you've watched this far in the video, we are actually on Spotify now. I have the Coffee with Kittl podcast, all of them up on Spotify. The video is there. You can even watch the video there, or if you're hitting the gym, going to and from work, you can listen to it on Spotify. It'll be on Apple soon as well. Don't forget to check out the Discord. We have so many amazing channels set up for the Discord. I've got AI help, t-shirt help, Etsy help. I don't know. There's going to be so many that maybe we'll do some for Amazon. I'm not sure, but there's a whole bunch of stuff over in the Discord. Of course, don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.